Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the episode 12 of Mahabharata Reading Challenge. And I hope you guys are reading with me. And I wish you a wonderful day ahead. So let's get started. As always, we are going to start with the prayers. Firstly, for Hanuman ji, Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj, Nijman Mukur Sudhar, Parnav Raghubar, Bimal Jasu, Jo Dayaku Fal Char. बुद्धिहीन तानु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस पिकार। निश्चय प्रेम प्रतीत ते विनय करे सन्मान तेहि के कारज सकल शुभ सिद्ध करे हनुमान। जय हनुमान संत हितकारी सुन लीजिए प्रभु अर्ज हमारी जन के काज विलम्ब न कीजिए आतुर दोर महासुख दीजिए। आंखें देखे मौन मुख सहा कहा नहीं जाए लेख विधाता का लिखा कौन किसे समझाए। वचन दिया सोचा नहीं होगा क्या परिणाम। वचन दिया सोचा नहीं होगा क्या परिणाम। सोच समझकर कीजिए जीवन में हर काम। जीवन को समझा रहा जिया हुआ इतिहास। जीवन को समझा रहा जिया हुआ इतिहास। जब तक तन में श्वास है तब तक मन में आस। तब तक मन में आस कह रही श्वास से धीरज धरना सीख। आस कह रही श्वास से धीरज धरना सीख। मांगे बिन मोती मिले मांगे मिले न भीख। मांगे मिले न भीख। है कथा संग्राम की विश्व के कल्याण की। धर्म अधर्म आदि अनंत सत्य असत्य कलेश कलंक। स्वार्थ की कथा परमार्थ की। शक्ति है भक्ति है जन्मों की मुक्ति है। जीवन का ये संपूर्ण सार है। युग युग से कण कण में सृष्टि के दर्पण में वेदों की कथा अपार है। धर्मों की गाथा है देवों की भाषा है। सदियों के इतिहास का प्रमाण है। कृष्णा की महिमा है गीता की गरिमा है। ग्रंथों का ग्रंथ ये महान है। महाभारत महाभारत महाभारत। सुख करता दुख हरता वार्ता विघ्नाची हो वार्ता विघ्नाची। नुरवी पूर्वी प्रेम कृपाया जायाची। सर्वांगी सुंदर उतिशेंदुराची हो उतिशेंदुराची। काठी जाल के माल मुक्ता फलहाची। जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति। जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति। दर्शन मात्रे मनोकामना पूर्ति। जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति हो श्री मंगल मूर्ति। दर्शन मात्रे मन कामना पूर्ति। जय देव जय मंगल मूर्ति। Think him as Vishnu while taking medicines, as Janardhan while eating food, as Padmanabha while in bed, as Prajapati at the time of marriage, as Chakradhara while engaged in war, as Trivikrama while on travel, as Narayana on deathbed, as Sridhara while meeting the beloved, as Govinda while tossing with bad dreams, as Madhusudan while in troubles, as Jalasayana while fire is ravaging, as Vara while struggling in water, as Raghunandan while lost in a mountain, as Vamana while on the move, and as Madhava while doing everything. यह तो प्रेम की बात है ऊदो बंदगी तेरे बस की नहीं है। यहाँ सर दे के होते हैं सौदे आशिकी इतनी सस्ती नहीं है। प्रेम वालों ने कब वक्त पूछा उनकी पूजा में सुन ले है ऊदो। यहाँ दमदम में होती है पूजा सर झुकाने की फुर्सत नहीं है। जो असल में है मस्ती में डूबे उन्हें क्या परवाह ज़िंदगी की। जो उतरती है चढ़ती है मस्ती वो हकीकत में मस्ती नहीं है। जिसकी नज़रों में शाम प्यारे वो तो रहते हैं जग से न्यारे। जिसकी नज़रों में मोहन समाए वो नज़रें फिर तरसती नहीं है। कर्पूर गौरव करुणा अवतारम संसार सारम भुजगेंद्रहारम सदा वसंतम हृदय रविंदे भवम भवानी सहितम नमामि। I bow to Bhavani as well as to Lord Shiva, who is white as camphor, who is compassion incarnate, who is the essence of world, who wears a garland of large snake and who always dwells in the lotus like hearts of his devotees. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare। जब याद तुम्हारी आती है मैं तेरे दर पे आता हूँ। अपने सुख दुख को हे ठाकुर मैं रो रो कर तुम्हें सुनाता हूँ। जब याद तुम्हारी आती है मैं तेरे दर पर आता हूँ। तुम मेरे हो मैं तेरा हूँ बस और कुछ नहीं याद मुझे। तुम मेरे हो मैं तेरा हूँ बस और नहीं कुछ याद मुझे। ये ध्यान सदा मेरे मन में रहे, ये विनय सुनाने आया हूँ। जब याद तुम्हारी आती है मैं तेरे दर पर आता हूँ। अपने सुख दुख को हे ठाकुर मैं रो रो कर तुम्हें सुनाता हूँ। फूलों में तुम्हारी खुशबू है, पत्तों में तुम्हारी हस्ती है, पर फूल नहीं है पास मेरे, बस दो नयन चढ़ाने आया हूँ। फूलों में तुम्हारी खुशबू है, पत्तों में तुम्हारी हस्ती है, पर फूल नहीं है पास मेरे, बस दो नयन चढ़ाने आया हूँ। जब याद तुम्हारी आती है मैं तेरे दर पर आता हूँ। अपने सुख दुख को हे ठाकुर मैं रो रो कर तुम्हें सुनाता हूँ। तुम मेरे प्यारे सावरिया, मेरा तुमसे हमेशा नाता है, नहीं और मेरा कोई सुनता है, मैं तुम्हें सुनाने आया हूँ। जब याद तुम्हारी आती है मैं तेरे दर पर आता हूँ। अपने सुख दुख को हे ठाकुर मैं रो रो कर तुम्हें सुनाता हूँ। मंगल मूर्ति मारुति नंदन, सकल अमंगल मूल निकंदन, पवन तनय संतन हितकारी, हृदय विराजत अवध बिहारी। जय 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 बजरंग बली, महावीर हनुमान गोसाई। मंगल मूर्ति मारुति नंदन, सकल अमंगल मूल निकंदन, पवन तनय संतन हितकारी, हृदय विराजत अवध बिहारी। जय 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 बजरंग बली, महावीर हनुमान गोसाई. Okay friends, let's see until which chapter we have already covered. So we have covered until 62 chapter Krishna teaches. Now we are going to start with the battlefield chapters, and today we are going to start with chapter number 63 and we'll try to finish until chapter number 68, the fifth day. Let's see. Yudhishthira seeks benediction. The first day is battle, the second day, the third day is battle, the fourth day, the fifth day. Let's see what happens in the battle. So chapter number 63. Where is chapter number 63? Yudhishthira seeks benediction. Everything was ready for the battle to begin. At this tense moment, both armies saw with amazement. Yudhishthira, the steadfast and brave son of Pandu, suddenly doffed his armor and put away his weapon. Descending from his chariot, he proceeded on foot towards the commander of Kaurava forces. What is this that Yudhishthir is doing? Asked everyone and was puzzled by this sudden and silent proceeding on part of the Pandavas. Dhananjay too was perplexed. Dhananjay refers to Arjun. Dhananjay too was perplexed and he jumped down from his chariot and ran to Yudhishthir. The other brothers and Krishna also joined. So Yudhishthir, he descended from his chariot and proceeded towards the commander of Kaurava's forces. So, like, all the brothers were confused, and Krishna also joined the brothers, and they asked Yudhishthir, what is he doing? They feared that perhaps Yudhishthir, surrendering to his natural inclination, had suddenly decided to seek peace on any terms and was going forward to announce this. So, according to the nature of Yudhishthir, he is always in the surrendering mode, like surrendering to his that his natural inclination was towards surrendering. Had suddenly decided to seek peace on any terms and was going forward to announce this. They thought, they feared that. King, why are you proceeding to the enemy's line in this strange manner? You have told us nothing. The enemy is ready for battle, their soldiers sheathed in armor and with uplifted weapons, but you have doffed your armor and thrown aside your weapon and are proceeding forward unattended and on foot. Tell us what you are about. Thus said Arjuna to Dharamputra, but Yudhishthira was immersed in deep thoughts and proceeded forward silently. So Arjuna addressed Dharamputra. Dharamputra is Yudhishthira, and he said, why are you proceeding to the enemy's line in this strange manner? You have told us nothing. The enemy is ready for the battle. Tell us what you are about. But Yudhishthira was immersed in deep thought and proceeded forward silently. Then Vasudeva, who knew the hearts of men, Are Krishna knew, Krishna always knew what is going in our heart. The Vasudeva, who knew the hearts of men, smiled and said, he is going to the elder to ask for their benediction before commencing this terrible fight. He feels it is not right to start such a grave proceeding without formally taking such benediction and permission. He goes to grandsire to take his blessings and to Dronacharya, so he goes unarmed. It is right that he does this. He knows proprieties. It is only thus that we might fare well in this battle. So basically, Vasudeva, Krishna, who always knew what is going in our hearts, uh, said with a smile and removed the confusion of brother Pandava's brother, and he said that Krishna said that he is going to the elders to ask for their benediction before commencing this terrible fight. He feels it is not right to start such a grave proceeding without formally taking such benediction and permission. He goes to the grandsire to take his blessing and that of Dronacharya, so he goes unarmed. It is right that he does this. He knows proprieties. It is only thus that we might fare well in this battle. The men in Duryodhana's army, when they saw Yudhishthir advancing with hands clasped in humble attitude, the men in Duryodhana's army, when they saw Yudhishthir advancing with hands clasped in humble attitude, thought, here is the Pandava coming to sue for peace, frightened at our strength. Truly, this man brings disgrace to the race of Kshatriyas. Why was this coward born among us? Thus did they talk among themselves, reviling Dharmputra, though delighted at the prospect of securing victory without a blow. So basically, they thought that this Pandava brother is coming to sue for peace, that he is coming to search, like, seek for peace, and frightened at our strength, and then they tried to judge him, but they were inside happy and delighted that at the prospect of securing victory without a blow. Yudhishthir went through the lines of soldiers armed from head to foot and proceeded straight to where Bhishma was, and bending low and touching his feet in the salutation. So basically, he went to Bhishma and he touched his feet. He said, Grandsire, permit us to begin the battle. We have dared to give battle to you, our unconquerable and incomparable grandsire. We seek benediction before beginning the fight. So basically, he wanted to have the blessings of Bhishma Pitama, and he was also asking for the forgiveness that they dared to give battle to him. So basically, he was seeking benediction before beginning the fight. So, child, replied the grandsire, born in the race of Bharatas, you have acted worthily, and according to our code of conduct, it gives me joy to see this fight, and you will have victory. So, basically, here Bhishma Pitama already said that fight and you will have victory. I am not a free agent, I am bound by my obligation to the king and must fight on the side of the Kauravas, but you will not be defeated. So he said already that you Pandav brothers will not be defeated. After thus obtaining the permission and the blessings of grandsire, Yudhishthira went to Drona and circumambulated and bowed according to the form to the Acharya, who also gave his blessing, saying, Yudhishthir went to Drona and circumambulated and bowed according to the form to Acharya, who also gave his blessing, saying, I am under inescapable obligations to the Kauravas. O son of Dharma, they are addressing Yudhishthir. Drona is addressing Yudhishthir. Our vested interests enslave us and become our master. Thus have I become bound to the Kauravas. I shall fight on their side, but yours will be the victory. So Drona also said to Yudhishthir that I am on the Kaurva side because of my obligation to be on their side, and but yours will be the victory. Yudhishthir similarly approached and obtained the blessings of Kripacharya, Uncle Salya, and returned to Pandavas. So basically, he sought the blessings of Kripacharya and Uncle Salya. The battle began, commencing with single combats between the leading chiefs armed with equal weapons, Bhishma and Partha, Satyaki and Kritavarma. Battle began, commencing with single combats between leading chiefs armed with equal weapons, Bhishma and Partha. Partha is Arjun. Satyaki and Kritavarma, Abhimanyu and Brihatbala, Duryodhan and Bhim, Yudhishthir and Salya, Drishtadyumna and Drona. Drishtadyumna and Drona. So basically, who were fighting against each other? Bhishma and Partha. Bhishma and Partha were fighting against each other. Satyaki and Kritavarma. Abhimanyu is the son of Arjun. Abhimanyu and Brihatbala, Duryodhan and Bhima, Yudhishthir and Salya, Drishtadyumna and Drona were thus engaged in great battles. Similarly, thousands of other warriors fought severally according to the rules of war of those days. Beside these numerous single combats between renowned warriors, there was also indiscriminate fighting among common soldiers. The name of Sankula Yudh was given to such free fighting and promiscuous carnage. The Kurukshetra battle witnessed many such Shankula fights wherein countless men fought and died in the mad lust of battle. On the field lay piles of slaughtered soldiers, charioteers, elephants, and horses. The ground became a bloody mire in which it was difficult for the chariots to move about. In modern battle, there is no such thing as single combats. It is all Sankula. Besides these numerous single combats between renowned warriors, there was also indiscriminate fighting among common soldiers. The name of Sankula Yudh was given to such free fighting and promiscuous carnage. The Kurukshetra battle witnessed many such Sankula fights wherein countless men fought and died in the mad lust of battle. On the field lay piles of slaughtered soldiers, charioteers, elephants, and horses. The ground became a bloody mire in which it was difficult for the charioteers to move about. In modern battle, there is no such thing as single combat. It is all Sankula. The Kauravas fought under Bhishma's command for 10 days. After him, Drona took the command. So, firstly, for 10 days, Bhishma was a commander, and after him, Drona took the command. When Drona died, Karna succeeded to command. Karna fell towards the close of the 17th day of battle, and Salya led the Kaurava army on the 18th and last day. So the war was for 18 days, and the last was Salya from Kaurava side. Towards the later part of the battle, many savage and unchivalrous deeds were done. Chivalry and rules of war die hard, for there is an innate nobility in human nature. But difficult situation and temptation arise which men are too weak to resist, especially when they are exhausted with fighting and warped with hatred and bloodshed. Chivalry and rules of war die hard, for there is an innate nobility in human nature. But difficult situations and temptation arise which men are too weak to resist, especially when they are exhausted with fighting and wrapped with hatred and bloodshed. Even great men commit wrong, and their lapses thereafter furnish bad examples to others, and dharma comes to be disregarded more and more easily and frequently. Thus does violence beget and nourish drama, adharma, and plunge the world in wickedness. Violence begets and nourish adharma and plunge the world in wickedness. The first day's battle. Dushasana was leading the Kaurava forces and Bhimasena did same on the Pandava side. So Dushasan was leading the Kaurava forces, leading, not commanding. Commanding was Bhishma for 10 days, and then after 10 days, Drona, and after Drona, Karna, and after Karna, Salya. And Bhimsen was on Pandava's side, leading. They were leading. Dushasana was leading the Kaurava forces. Bhimsena did the same on the Pandava side. The noise of battle rolled and rent the air. The kettle drums, trumpet, horn, and conchs made the sky ring with their clamor. Horses neighed, charging elephants, trumpet, and the warriors uttered their lion roars. Arrows flew in the air like burning meteors. Father and sons, uncles and nephews slew one another, forgetful of old affection and ties of blood. So father, sons, uncle, nephews slew one another, forgetful of old affection and ties of blood. It was a mad and terrible carnage. In the forenoon of the first day's battle of Pandava's army was badly shaken. Wherever Bhishma's chariot went, it was like the dance of the destroyer. It was a mad and terrible carnage. In the forenoon of the first day's battle, the Pandavas' army was badly shaken. First day's Pandavas' army was badly shaken. Wherever Bhishma's chariot went, it was like the dance of destroyer. Abhimanyu could not bear this, and he attacked the grandsire. When the oldest and youngest warrior thus met in battle, the gods came to watch the combat. So Abhimanyu was the youngest and Bhishma was the oldest. Could not Abhi like he could not bear this and attacked the grandsire. So the gods came. When the oldest and the youngest warrior thus met in battle, the gods came to watch the combat. Abhimanyu's flag, displaying the golden Karnikara tree, brightly waved on his chariot. Kritavarma was hit by one of his arrows, and Salya was hit 5 times. Bhishma himself was hit 9 times by Abhimanyu's shaft. Durmukha's charioteer was struck by one of the Abhimanyu's sword edged arrow and his severed head rolled on the ground. Another broke Kripa's bow. Abhimanyu's feats brought down showers of flowers from the gods who looked on. Bhishma and the warriors supporting him exclaimed, "Indeed, a worthy son to Dhananjay." Bhishma and the warriors supporting him exclaimed that, "Indeed, a worthy son to Dhananjay." Dhananjay is our Arjun. Then Kaurava warriors made a combined attack on the valiant youth, but he stood against them all. He parried with his own all the shafts discharged by Bhishma. One of his well aimed arrows brought the grandsire palm tree flag down. So basically, one of the arrow from Abhimanyu brought the grandsire palm tree flag down. Seeing this, Bhimasena was overjoyed and made a great lion roar that further inspired the valiant, valiant nephew. So Bhimasena tried to encourage his nephew Abhimanyu. Great was grandsire's joy, and also Bhishma was joyful seeing that. Seeing the valor of young hero Abhimanyu. Unwillingly he had to use his full strength against the boy. But since he was also in the war, so he needed to use his full strength against this boy Abhimanyu, unwillingly though. Virata, his son Uttara, Virata, his son Uttara, Drishtadhyumna, the son of Draupada, and Bhima came to relieve the young hero and attack the grandsire, who then turned his attention on them. So basically, they tried to relieve this young hero, Abhimanyu, and then they started to attack the grandsire, and thus diverted the attention of grandsire, like grandsire is Bhishma. Uttara, the son of Virata, rode an elephant and led a fierce charge on Salya. So Uttara was fighting against Salya. Salya's horses were trampled to death, and thereupon he hurled a javelin at Uttara. It went with unerring aim and pierced him in the chest. The goat he had in his hand dropped and he rolled down dead. But the elephant did not withdraw. It continued charging until Salya cut off its trunk and hit it in many places with his arrows, and then it uttered a loud cry and fell dead. Salya got into Kritavarma's car. Virata's son Sweta saw Salya slay his younger brother. His anger rose like fire fed by liberation of butter, and he drove his chariot towards Salya. 7 chariots warrior at once came up in support of Salya and protected him from all sides. Arrows were showered on Sweta, and the missiles sped across like lightning in clouds. Sweta defended himself marvelously. He parried their shafts with his own and cut their javelins down as they sped towards them. The warriors in both armies were amazed at the skill displayed by Sweta. Duryodhan lost no time now and sent forces to relieve Salya. Thereupon, whereupon there was a great battle, thousands of soldiers perished, and numerous were the chariots broken and the horses and elephants killed. Sweta succeeded in putting Duryodhan's men to flight, and he pushed forward and attacked Bhishma. Bhishma's flag was brought down by Sweta. Bhishma in his turn killed Shweta's horses and charioteer. Thereupon they hurled javelins at one another and fought on. Sweta took a mace and swinging it, sent it at Bhishma's car, which was smashed to pieces. But the grandsire, even before the mace dashed against the chariot, had anticipated it and jumped down. From the ground, he pulled the string of his bow to his ear and sent a fatal arrow at Sweta. Sweta was Sweta was struck and fell dead. Dushasana blew his horn and danced in joy. This was followed by a great attack on the Pandava army by Bhishma. The Pandava force suffered greatly on the first day of the battle. Dharmaputra was seized with apprehension and Duryodhan's joy was unbounded. So the Pandavas' forces suffered greatly on the first day of battle. Dharmaputra was seized with apprehension and Duryodhan's joy was unbounded. The brother came to Krishna and were engaged in anxious consultation. So, seeing the terrible loss on the first day, Arjun and Dharmaputra Yudhishthir came to Krishna consult to seek their consultation. Chief among Bharatas, said Krishna to Yudhishthir, do not fear. Okay, so Krishna is saying, do not fear. God has blessed you with valiant brothers. Why should you entertain any doubts? So Krishna is saying that do not fear. God has blessed you with the valiant brothers. Why should you entertain any doubts? This is Satyaki, and there are Virata, Draupada, and Drishtadyumna beside myself. What reason is there for you to be dejected? Do you forget that Shikandin is awaiting for his predestined victim Bhishma? Thus did Krishna comfort Yudhishthir. So he's telling to Yudhishthir, do not fear, God has blessed you with your brothers. Why should you entertain any doubt? There is Satyaki, there are Virata, Draupada, Drishtadyumna, besides myself. So Krishna mentioned everyone and then he mentioned himself. What is the reason that you are feeling dejected? Do you forget that? And he also told Yudhishthir that Shikandin is awaiting for his predestined victim Bhishma. Thus did Krishna comfort Yudhishthira. The second day, the Pandava army having fared badly on the first day of the battle, Drishtadyumna and Generalissimo devised measure to avoid a repetition of it. On the second day, the army was most carefully arrayed and everything was done to instill confidence. Duryodhan, filled with conceit on account of the success on the first day, stood in the center of his army and addressed his warriors. Heroes in armor, he said in a loud voice, our victory is assured. So Duryodhan is telling them, fight and care not for life. So Duryodhan came into the center and he was delighted with the performance the Kauravas had on the first day, and on second day he came into the center and said, heroes in armor, in a loud voice, our victory is assured, fight and care not for life. The Kaurava army led by Bhishma again made strong attack on Pandava's forces. So Kaurava army again made a strong attack on Pandava forces on the second day and broke their formation, killing large numbers. Arjun, turning to Krishna, his charioteer, said, if we continue in this way, our army will soon be totally destroyed by the grandsire unless we slay Bhishma. I am afraid we cannot save our army. So basically, Arjun turned to Krishna Krishna ji. If we continue in this way, our army will soon be totally destroyed by the grandsire unless we slay Bhishma. So basically, he's telling that he's telling to Krishna that if we are continuing this if we are continuing this battle in this way, our army will soon be totally destroyed because on the other side is Bhishma. One Unless we slay Bhishma, we cannot save our army. And then Krishna replied, Dhananjay, then get ready. Dhananjay Parth is Arjun. There is the grandsire chariot, replied Krishna, and drove straight towards him. The chariot sped forward at a great pace. The grandsire sent his shafts welcoming the challenge. Duryodhan had ordered his men to protect the grandsire most vigilantly and never to let him expose himself to danger. So, Krishna advised Arjun to get ready and to take chariot straight towards him, to draw chariot straight towards the Bhishma, towards grandsire. And then Duryodhan had already made sure that there will be enough number of men to protect the grandsire and to not to expose him to any danger. Accordingly, all the warriors supporting the grandsire at once intervened and attacked Arjun, who, however, fought on unconcerned. It was well known that there were but three on Kaurva side who could stand against Arjun with any chance of success. So basically, these three could already win, like they were greater than Arjun. Arjuna made short work of the warrior who intervened in support of Bhishma. The way in which he wielded his great bow on this occasion extorted the admiration of all the great generals in the army. His chariot flashed hither and thither, sundering hostile ranks like forked lightning so rapidly that I ached to follow its career. Duryodhan's heart beats fast as he watched this combat. His confidence in the great Bhishma began to be shaken. So Duryodhan's confidence in Bhishma began to shake. Son of Ganga, Duryodhan said. Son of Ganga is Bhishma. Bhishma Pitama. Duryodhan said, it seems as if even while you and Drona are alive and fighting, this irresistible combination of Arjuna and Krishna will destroy our entire army. Karna, whose devotion and loyalty to me are most genuine, stands aside and does not fight for me only because of you. I fear I shall be deceived and you will not take steps quickly to destroy Falguna, Arjun. So basically, Duryodhan is frightened to see the combination of Arjuna and Krishna, and he is also like fearful that they might destroy Duryodhan's army. And he is telling to Bhishma that Karna, whose devotion and loyalty to me are most genuine, stands aside and does not fight for me only because of you. I fear I shall be deceived and you will not take steps quickly to destroy Arjun. So basically, he's doubting also Bhishma Pitama that I shall be deceived by you and you will not take steps quickly to destroy Falguna, Arjun. The gods came down to watch the combat between Bhishma and Arjuna. So these were the two of the greatest warrior on earth. Both chariots were drawn by white steeds. From either side flew arrows in countless numbers. Shaft met shaft in air, and sometimes the grandsire's missile hit Arjuna's breast, and that of Madhava's. Oh, and the blood flowing made Madhava more beautiful than ever as he stood like a green palasa tree in full bloom with crimson flowers. So basically, Krishna, Bhishma's countless arrows were also striking Arjun's and Madhava, and the blood flowing made Madhava more beautiful than ever, as stood like a green palasa tree in full bloom with crimson flowers. Arjuna's wrath rose when he saw his dear charioteer hit, and he pulled his bow and sent well aimed arrows at the grandsire. The combatants were equal, and the battle raged for a long while. In the movement, the chariots made they were so close to one another and moved about so fast that it was not possible to say where Arjuna was and where Bhishma. Only the flag could be distinguished. At this great and wonderful scene was enacted in one part of the field, at another place a fierce battle was being fought between Drona and his born enemy Drishtadyumna, the son of the king of Panchalas and the brother of Draupadi. Drona's attack was powerful and Drishtadyumna was wounded badly, but the latter retaliated with equal vigor vigor, and with a grin of hatred he shot arrows and sped other missiles at Drona. Drona defended himself with great skills. He parried the sharp missiles and heavy maces hurled at him with his arrows and broke them to pieces even as they sped in air. Many times did Drishtyadumna's bow hit by Drona's arrow. One of Drona's arrow killed the Panchala prince charioteer. Thereupon Drishtyadumna took up a mace and jumping down from the chariot went forward on foot. Drona sent an arrow that brought the mace down. Drishtyadumna then drew his sword and rushed forward like a lion springing on its elephant prey, but Drona again disabled him and prevented his advance. Just then, Bhima, who saw the Panchala's predicament, sent a shower of arrows on Drona and carried Drishtadyumna to the safety in his chariot. Duryodhan, who saw this, sent the Kalinga forces against Bhimsena. Bhima killed the Kalinga warriors in great number, like death itself. He moved about among his enemies and felled them to the ground. So fierce was the destruction that the entire army trembled in fear. When Bhishma saw this, he came to relieve the Kalinga. Satyaki, Abhimanyu, and other warriors came up in support. When Bhishma saw this, he came to relieve the Kalingas. Satyaki, Abhimanyu, and other warriors came up in support of Bhima. One of Satyaki's shaft brought Bhishma, Bhishma's charioteer down, and the horses of Bhishma's chariot, left uncontrolled, bolted, carrying Bhishma away from the field. The Pandavas' army was wild with enthusiasm when Bhishma's chariot speed thus out of the field. They took advantage of the situation and made a fierce attack on the Kaurva's army. Great was the loss of Kaurva's army suffered in that day's battle as a result of Arjun's deeds of valor. The general of Kaurava's army were greatly perturbed, and their previous day's enthusiasm had all disappeared. They eagerly looked forward to sunset when there would be an end to the day's battle. And as the sun sank in the west, Bhishma said to Drona, "It is well we stop the fighting now. Our army is disheartened and weary." On the side of Pandavas, Dhananjay and others returned in great cheer to their camp with bands playing. At the end of the second day's battle, the Kauravas were in the mood that Pandavas were in the previous evening. So, first day they were happy, on the second day, the Pandavas were happy. The third day's battle. On the morning of the third day, Bhishma arrayed his army in eagle formation and himself led it, while Duryodhan and his forces protected the rear. So great was the care taken over every detail that Kauravas were certain that there could be no mishap for them that day. The Pandavas took arrayed to array their forces with skill. Dhananjay and Drishtadyumna decided in favor of crescent formation of their armies so as more effectively to cope with the eagle formation of the enemy's forces. On the right horn of the crescent stood Bhima and on left Arjun. While leading the respective divisions, the battle began. All arms were at once engaged, and blood flowed in torrents, and the dust that was raised by chariots, horses, and elephants rose to hide the sun. Dhananjay's attack was powerful, but the enemy stood firm. A counter attack was made by Kauravas, concentrating on Arjuna's position. Javelins and spear and other missiles flew in air, shining like forked lightning in a thunderstorm. Like a great cloud of locusts, the shaft covered Arjun's chariot. But with amazing skill, he raised a moving fortification around his chariot with arrow discharged in an unending stream from his famous bow. At another point, Shakuni led a large force against Satyaki and Abhimanyu. Satyaki's chariot was broken to pieces. He had to scramble up Abhimanyu's chariot, and thereafter both fought from the same chariot. They were able to destroy Shakuni's forces. Drona and Bhishma jointly attacked Dharmputra's division, and Nakula and Sahadeva joined their brother in opposing Drona's offensive. Bhima and his son Ghatotkacha attacked Duryodhan's division, and in that day battle, the son appeared to excel his great father in valor. So Ghatotkacha was excellent that day. Bhima and his son Ghatotkacha attacked Duryodhan's division. Bhima's shaft hit Duryodhan, and he lay in swoon in his chariot. His chariot quickly drove the chariot away from the scene. He feared that Kaurva forces would be completely demoralized if they saw that prince had been disabled. But even in this moment created great confusion. Even this movement created great confusion. Bhimasena took full advantage of the position and worked havoc among the fleeting Kaurva's forces. Drona and Bhishma, who saw the discomfiture and confusion of the Kauravas army, came up quickly and restored confidence. The scattered forces were brought together, and Duryodhan was again seen leading them. How can you stand thus? Said Duryodhan to the grandsire, looking on when our forces are scattered and put to disgraceful fight. I fear you are too kind to Pandavas. Why did you not tell me frankly? I love the Pandavas. Dhristadyumna and Satyaki are my friends, and I cannot attack or slay them. You should have stated the position explicitly to me. Surely these men are not equal to you, and if you were so minded, you could deal with them easily. Even now, it would be best if you and Drona told me frankly your mind in the matter. The chagrin of defeat and the knowledge that the grandsire disapproved of his ways made Duryodhan speak thus bitterly. But Bhishma merely smiled and said, Wasn't I quite frank in my advice to you? That advice you rejected when you decided on war. I tried to prevent the war, but now that it has come, I am fulfilling my duties by you with all my might. I am an old man, and what I am doing is quite my utmost. Seeing thus, the grandsire resumed his operation. The turn of events in the forenoon had been so much in the favor that the delighted Pandavas were now somewhat careless. They did not expect Bhishma to rally his forces and attack them again. But stung by Duryodhan's reproaches, the grandsire raged about the field like a destroying fire. He rallied his men and delivered the most severe attack yet made on the Pandavas' army. The latter thought that the grandsire had multiplied himself into a number of Bhishma, fighting at several points. So swift were his movements that afternoon. Those who opposed him were struck down and perished like months in fire. The Pandavas' army was thoroughly broken and began to scatter. Vasudeva, Partha, and Shikandan tried hard to restore order and confidence but were unsuccessful. Dhananjay said, Arjun said to Krishna, now has the critical time come. Be true to your decision not to flinch from your duty to kill in battle Bhishma, Drona and all other friends and relatives and respected elders. You Dhananjaya said, Krishna. So Krishna said to Arjun, now has the critical time come. Be true to your decision not to flinch from your duty to kill in battle Bhishma, Drona and all other friends and relative and respected elder. You have pledged yourself to it and you have now to carry it. Otherwise your army is lost beyond redemption. You must now attack the grandsire. So Krishna is advising Dhananjay that now the critical time has come. You have to attack now Bhishma, Drona and all other friends and relative. Drive on, said Arjun. So Arjun said, drive on. As Dhananjay's chariot sped on towards Bhishma, it met a hot reception from the grandsire, who covered it with arrows. But Arjuna bent his bow and discharged three shafts that broke the grandsire's bow. Bhishma picked up another bow, but it too met the same fate. The grandsire's heart was gladdened when he saw Arjun's skills in archery. So Bhishma was happy to see the archery skills of Arjun mm, because Bhishma's bows were continuously breaking down by the arrows of Arjuna. Hail, brave warrior, applauded the grandsire. Even as taking up another bow, he poured shafts on Arjun's chariot with unerring aim. Krishna was not happy at the way Arjun met the attack. The grandsire's bow was working fiercely, but Arjun's hand did not do their best. From his heart was not in it. For his heart was not in. Okay, so Krishna was not happy at the way Arjuna met the attack. Uh, because Arjun's hand did not do their best, for his heart was not in it. So his heart was not in the battle to fight. He had too much regard for his great grandsire. Krishna thought that if Arjuna went on like this, the army, which had been so badly demoralized already, would be utterly destroyed and all would be lost. Krishna managed the chariot skillfully, but in spite of it, both he and Arjun were hit many times by Bhishma's arrows. Janardhan, Krishna's anger rose. Janardhana's, like Krishna anger rose. I can stand this no longer, Arjuna. I shall kill Bhishma myself if you will not do it. So Krishna himself is telling that I can stand this no longer, Arjun. I shall kill Bhishma myself if you will not do it, he exclaimed, and dropping the reins, he took up his discus and jumped down from the chariot and dashed forward towards Bhishma. Bhishma was far from being perturbed at this. On the contrary, his face expanded with ecstatic joy. Come on, oh lotus eyed one, he exclaimed. So Bhishma was not fearful, he was really happy to see Krishna coming towards him for killing him. I bow to you, O Madhava, Lord of the world. Have you indeed come down from the chariot for my sake? I offer you my life. If I be slain by you, I shall be glorified in the three worlds. Give me that boon. May your hands take this life away and save me for eternity. Arjuna was distressed to see this. He jumped down and ran after Krishna. Overtaking him with great difficulty, he entreated Krishna to turn back. Arjuna was distressed to see this, that Krishna was running towards the Bhishma. Overtaking him with great difficulty, he entreated Krishna to turn back. Do not lose your patience with me, desist, and I promise not to flinch, he said, and persuaded Krishna to return. So basically, he said to Krishna that do not lose patience with me, desist, and I promise not to flinch. The chariot reins were again in Krishna's hand. Arjuna attacked Kaurava forces furiously and thousands were slain by him. The Kauravas suffered a severe defeat on the evening of the third day. As they returned to their camps in torchlight, they said to one another, "Who can equal Arjun? There is nothing strange in his being victorious." So marvelous was Arjuna's prowess that day. So basically, when they came, like on at the end of the third day, the Kauravas suffered a severe defeat, and they were praising Arjun that how marvelous he is, and who can he there is nothing strange in him being victorious. The fourth day. The battle was very much the same every day, and the narrative is one of the monotonous fighting and killing. Still, the great battle is the central event in Mahabharata, and if we skip over it, we cannot fully understand the epic heroes of that crowded stage. At the break of day, Bhishma added the Kaurava forces again, surrounded by Drona, Duryodhan, and others. The grandsire looked verily like great Indra holding his thunderbolt, surrounded by Devas. The Kauravas' army, with its chariots, elephants, and horses, all arrayed in battle order and ready for the fight, presented the appearance of the sky in a great thunderstorm. The grandsire gave orders for advance. Arjuna watched the hostile movement from his chariot, whereon the Hanuman flag was waving, and he too got ready. The grandsire gave orders for advance. Arjuna watched the hostile movement from his chariot, whereon the Hanuman flag was waving, and he too got ready. The battle commenced. The battle commenced. Ashwathama, Bhurisravasa, Salya, Chitrasena, and the son of Chala surrounded Abhimanyu and attacked him. The warrior fought like a lion, opposing five elephants. Arjuna saw this combined attack on his son, and with a wrathful lion roar joined his son, whereat the tempo of fighting flared up. Drishtadyumna also arrived with a large force. The son of Chala was killed. Chala himself now joined, and he with Salya made a strong attack on Drishtadyumna. The latter's bow was severed into two by a sharp missile discharged by Salya. Abhimanyu saw this and sent a shower of arrow on Salya and put him in such danger that Duryodhan and his brothers rushed to Salya's help. Bhimsena also appeared on the scene at this juncture. When Bhima raised his mace aloft, Duryodhan's brother lost courage. Duryodhan, who saw this, was exceedingly angry and immediately charged against Bhima with a large force of elephants. As soon as Bhima saw the elephants coming up, he descended from his chariot, iron mace in hand, attacked them so fiercely that they scattered in a wild stampede, throwing the Kauravas' rank into disorder. It will be seen that even in our Puranic stories, elephant fared as badly in battle as they did in the war of Greeks and the Roman. Bhima's attack on the elephants was like Indra's devastating onslaught on the winged mountain. The slaughtered elephants lay dead on the field like great hills. Those that escaped fled in panic and caused great havoc in the Kauravas' army, trampling numerous soldiers in their wild race. Duryodhan thereupon ordered a wholesale attack on Bhima, but he stood firm as a rock, and presently the Pandavas' warrior came up and joined him. A number of Duryodhan's arrows struck Bhima's chest, and he climbed up his chariot again. Vishoka, now is the glad hour, said Bhima to his charioteer. I see a number of Dhritarashtra's sons before me, ready to be shaken down like ripe fruits on a tree. Keep your hold well on the reins and drive in. I am going to dispatch those wretches to Yama's abode. Bhima's arrow would have killed Duryodhan then and there had it not been for his armor. 8 of Duryodhan's brothers were slain in that day's battle by Bhima. Duryodhan fought fiercely. Bhima's bow was smashed by one of Duryodhan's arrow. Taking up a fresh bow, Bhima sent an arrow with a knife edge at Duryodhan that cut the latter's bow into two. Now, baffled by this, Duryodhan took up a fresh bow and discharged a well aimed shaft which struck Bhima in his chest and such force that he reeled and sat down. The Pandavas' warrior now poured a great shower of arrows on Duryodhan. Gatotkacha, who saw his father sit dazed with the force of blow, got exceedingly angry and fell on Kaurva's army, which was unable to stand against his onslaught. We cannot fight this Rakshasa today, said Bhima to Drona. Said Bhishma to Drona, our men are weary. It is nearing sunset, and at a night of the Rakshasa grows stronger with darkness. Let us deal with Ghatotkacha tomorrow. The grandsire ordered his army to retire for the night. Duryodhan sat musing in his tent, his eyes filled with tears. He had lost many of his brothers in that day's battle. Sanjaya exclaimed Dhritarashtra, every day you give me nothing but bad news. Your tale has ever been one of sorrow, of defeat, and loss of dear ones. I cannot stand this any more. What stratagem can save my people? How are we going to win in this fight? Indeed, I am full of fear. It seems fate is more powerful than human effort. King said Sanjaya in reply, is this not all the result of your own folly? Of what avail is grief? How can I manufacture good news for you? You should hear the truth with fortitude. Ah, Vidura's words are coming true, said the blind old king, plunged in a great grief. The fifth day. So basically, here all the that what is happening on the battlefield was being narrated by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra, because Sanjaya had this boon, that boon of vision, that he can see what is happening on the other side. The fifth day. I am like a shipwrecked man seeking to save himself by swimming in a storm tossed ocean. I shall surely drown, overwhelmed in the sea of sorrow. Again and again, when Sanjaya related the happenings of the great battle, Dhritarashtra would thus lament, unable to bear this grief. Bhima is going to kill all my son, he said. I do not believe there is anyone with the prowess enough in our army to protect my sons from death. That Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Ashwathama look on unconcerned when our army fled in terror. What indeed is their plan? When and how are they going to help Duryodhan? How are my sons to escape from destruction? Saying thus, the blind old king burst into tears. Calm yourself, king, said Sanjaya. The Pandavas rest on strength of just a cause, so they win. Your sons are brave, but their thoughts are wicked. Therefore, luck does not favor them. They have done great injustice to Pandavas, and they are reaping the harvest of their sins. The Pandavas are not winning by charms or magic incantations. They are fighting according to the practice of Kshatriyas. Their cause being just, they have strength. Friends advised you, but you discarded wise counsel. Vidura, Bhishma, Drona, and I tried to stop you in your unwise course, but you did not listen, and you went on. Like a foolish sick man who refused to drink bitter medicine, you obstinately refused to follow our advice, which would have saved your people. Preferring to do so, do as your foolish son desired. You are in distress now. Last night Duryodhan asked Bhishma the same question as you put to me now, and Bhishma gave the same answer I gave you. When the fighting was on stopped on the evening of fourth day, Duryodhan went by himself to Bhishma's tent, and bowing reverently said, Grandsire, the world knows that you are a warrior who knows not fear. The same is the case with Drona, Kripashvatama, Kritavarma, Sudakshan, Bhurisarbas, Vikarna, and Bhagdata. Death has no terror for these veterans. There is no doubt the prowess of the great warrior is limitless, even like your own. All the Pandavas combined cannot defeat any one of you. What then is the mystery behind this daily defeat of our army at the hands of the son of Kunti? Bhishma replied, Prince, listen to me. I have given you advice on every occasion and told you what was good for you, but you have always refused to follow what your elders counseled you to do. Again, I tell you that this is best for you to make peace with Pandu's son for your good as well as for that of the world. That is the only course that should be followed. Belonging to the same royal house, you can all enjoy this vast country as yours. I gave you this advice, but you disregarded it, and you have grievously wronged the Pandavas, the fruit of which you are now reaping. The Pandavas are protected by Krishna himself. How then can you hope for the victory? Even now, it is not too late for making peace, and that is the way to rule your kingdom, making the Pandavas your powerful brother friends instead of enemies. Destruction awaits you if you insult Dhananjay and Krishna, who are none other than Nar and Narayan. Duryodhan took leave and went to his tent, but he could not sleep that night. The battle was resumed the next morning. Bhishma arrayed the Kaurava forces in a strong formation, so did Drishtyadumna for the Pandava armies. Bhima stood at the head of the advance lines as usual, and Shikandin, Drishtyadumna, and Satyaki stood behind, securely guarding the main body, aided by other generals. Dharmputra and the twin brothers held the rear. Bhishma bent his bow and discharged his shaft. The Pandavas' army suffered greatly under the grandsire attack. Dhananjay saw this and retaliated by fierce shaft aimed at Bhishma. Duryodhan went to Drona and complained bitterly. According to his custom, Drona upbraided him severely. Obstinate prince, you talk without understanding. You are ignorant of the Pandava strength. We are doing our best. Drona's powerful attack on Pandava's army was too much for Satyaki, who was meeting it, and Bhima therefore turned his attention to Drona. The battle grew fiercer still. Drona, Bhishma, and Salya made a combined attack on Bhima. Shikandin supported Bhima by pouring a shower of arrows on Bhishma. As soon as Shikandin stepped in, Bhishma turned away, for Shikandin was a born girl. So Shikandin supported Bhima by pouring a shower of arrows on Bhishma. As soon as Shikandin stepped in, Bhishma turned away, for Shikandin was a born girl, and Bhishma's principle did not permit him to attack a woman. In the end, the same objection proved to be the cause of Bhishma's death. When Drona saw Bhishma turn away, he attacked Shikandin fiercely and compelled him to withdraw. There was a promiscuous battle the whole of the morning of the fifth day, and the slaughter was terrific. In the afternoon, Duryodhan sent a large force to oppose Satyaki, but Satyaki destroyed it completely and advanced to attack Burisarvas. Burisarvas, who was a powerful opponent, but Satyaki's meant to fight and press Satyaki himself so fiercely that he was in distress. Satyaki's 10 sons saw their father's plight and sought to relieve him by launching an offensive against Burisarvas, but Burisarva, undaunted by numbers, opposed the combined attack and was not to be shaken. His well aimed dart broke their weapon, and they were all slain, strewn on the field like so many tall trees struck down by lightning. Satyaki, wild with rage and grief, drove forward at a furious pace to slay Burisarvas. The chariot of the two warriors dashed against each other and crumbled to pieces, and the warriors stood face to face with sword and shield in desperate single combat. Then Bhima came and took away Satyaki by force into his chariot and drove away. For Bhima knew that Burisravas was an unrivaled swordsman, and he did not want Satyaki to be slain. Arjuna killed thousands of warriors that evening. The soldier dispatched against him by Duryodhan perished like months in the fire. As the sun went down and Bhishma gave order to cease fighting, the prince on the Pandavas' army surrounded Arjuna and greeted him with loud cries of admiration and victory. The armies on both sides retired to camp along with the tired horses and elephant. Okay, my dear friends, so we will read tomorrow, the sixth day, and let's see if we have completed our target for the day. How many chapters did we include? How many chapters were included? Yeah, we included until the fifth day and we have read it until here. So my dear friends, have a very wonderful day ahead, and please excuse me for my reading mistakes or anything. This is also new for me, the words sometimes, and a continuous reading sometimes make it difficult for the right pronunciation of the words. Thank you, my dear friends. Have a very nice day ahead.